Hey, go ahead.
Well, that was easy.
Before I decide to go and pull out the tent and show you guys what kind of box it showed up in, I've laid out these 20-foot pressure treated boards that I special ordered from my local lumber area in order to be able to show where the edges are going to be for this setup. Now, the lift is going to be a little tight with it, but I don't use the lift during the winter time, and I'm going to leave the sides open during the summer, so I'm pretty sure we should be able to work around it. Right now I've got a lawn tractor parked here just to give you some perspective on the size of this layout. And let's go see if we can roll that box out. Now this thing showed up. It weighs about 150 pounds or so. And I'll let you see how big this box is. The UPS guy was really happy that I had a friend here that day. There we go. So we're going to pop this open. We're going to see what this kit looks like on the inside. And hopefully start putting this together a little bit. Now, on the site they actually advertise to not open this with a knife. That in theory, this edge pulls off on both sides. And it should lift off. How much you want to bet my 8-year-old's going to want to turn this box into a submarine or a plane? Or what would your 8-year-old self turn this box into? Oh, there we go. That looks really well packed. So, looks like we got our basic, usual, shelter logic-y style setup here, and I just dropped what I believe was the warranty information down here. Yeah, hold up. What is this? That looked important. Okay, so there's some sort of follow-up registration and stuff. Oh, win-free product giveaway. Okay. And Abba Patio something or other. See if this is actually just advertisement. It's just a bunch of advertisement. Well, the heck with that. Alright, so this looks really well packed. There's a bit of a dent down in that lower corner, but for the most part, this looks really good. So I'll get the rest of it unpacked and organize it and see if we can't figure it out. And the proverbial cat checking out the box. So I find it really cool that this only has 2 types of poles, but I also don't like something about it. And I didn't see this in the direction, I didn't see this when they were advertising this, but they're not bolt together. They're click together. So, I mean, if that ever fails, I'm sure you could drill it out. And it's just a little click spring thing inside. So, in the future, you could drill it out and put a carriage bolt through it. Not sure how I feel about that. So, like I said, there's literally only A poles and B poles. And the B poles have this for putting in the bases. And they have the click-ins on the other side. So I've got everything laid out right now. And as you can see here, now what's left in the box is the canvas and another canvas. This bottom one is significantly heavier, so I'm assuming that's the top. And then the bottom piece. So I gotta figure out these aren't labeled that I can see, so I'm going to see if there's actually labels for these and sort out which is the sides and which is the peak, or whether they're all the same exact angle. We'll get right back to you on that. So it turns out all of these are literally the exact same angle, so we just need to figure out our end piece, which is this one, and see how hard this clicks on. So this nub goes downward, which would make sense. You don't want it poking up. And rotate it around. That's not as tight of a connection as, say, one of the Harbor Freight ones or a Shelter Logic. But once it's bound up with all the rubber tie downs, maybe it'll get tighter. We'll see. So yet again, obviously nubs go down, that way they don't poke up out of the canvas covering. And apparently the pipe actually slides in further than the nub distance is at. So you're going to have to pay attention and try and figure out about what depth it goes. If you're having troubles with these, like you're putting together an old one that's rusted and stuff, if you smother it in Dawn dish soap, goes together amazing. That or any kind of like PB Blaster or anything. But these definitely are clicking together easily. So I'll see what I can do to do the rest of it, and then we'll go from there. So you guys just watch that and fast forward. I'll put up exactly how much time it ended up actually taking me by myself to go and do. At this point, it's pretty simple. We got to go and take and bolt the feet onto the poles that go around the outside, and we'll go from there to go and see if we can figure this out. We got our foot here, and that just simply slides on, and that actually butts right to the bottom of that, which is actually good to see. It turns out that the bolts that they sent are 13 millimeter on both sides. So I'll just throw that through and give it a crank. And we're just lightly doing it because it is pretty thin steel. And they're not as solid mount as the Shelter Logic would be, but at least they're actually flat feet, unlike the Harbor Freight ones. Well, the wind is picking up, unfortunately, but we're going to try and get the sides up by ourselves. Basically, on any of these that I've ever done, usually if you start with the center ones, you can lift to one side, you get all of them clicked in, and then you go to the other side and you do the same thing. I'm a 180-pound man. This shouldn't be that heavy to lift, but we'll see. I'm either going to throw my back out for video or get this up. Fuzz, you're not being helpful. Okay, let's move. Ready? Up. Okay, there's one. There we go. It's almost to the height of the upstairs window. Now the old one was right about here. This one is all the way up there. And the reason why it is that I put down these pressure treated boards, which I'm going to measure out exactly what the distance is. I'm going to take that measurement from there to there, and I'm going to measure it out from here to here and tack them down to the boards. But the reason being is cinder blocks. So these cinder blocks are going to get lined up across the outside so that they're movable and able to be rearranged as I need to, because that has 12 bags of 40 pound, 80 pound, 12 bags of 80 pounds worth of concrete on it. And the wind picked that up and moved it about 2 to 3 feet back. So we're going to make sure that this has plenty of extra grounding to it. Once I'm sure I've got it where I want it, I'm probably going to drill holes and drive 1 foot pieces of rebar angled down in order to go and stick it. But there we go. There's the lawn tractor in perspective at the end of it. Alright, so we're on day 2, and I've done a few of these smaller ones by myself. And what you do is you take some of these quick clamps like this, so that you can be able to run down the sides and go back and forth, back and forth. You put a ladder in the center and you put a little bit up and over, and then go back and forth with the quick clamps, and you can do it pretty much by yourself. This, on the other hand, this was a little bit too big, so I've got a friend over here helping me today. He just doesn't like the camera. But big thank yous to Mark. And let's get the rest of this done. This part's going to be awkward because I'm trying to do this one-handed. This is a foam snow scraper so that we don't punch through. So we can take it and we can push on it like that, and we can move it over. I can't quite do it one-handed, but you get the idea. It lets us get access to it. We could probably do the same thing with just a push broom for your garage, but thought that was a good innovation. Alright, so you put this through here and you pull that down, you wrap it once, you pull it up, which sucks to do and takes some effort, and then you put it back over the ball like that to bind it permanently. Otherwise, in a strong wind, they'll bounce and they can shoot off the ball. Now we got to do like 30 of them. There we go. We got cinder blocks down in order to help it stay down in the wind. We're going to put some more land anchors in and stuff like that. But that is our 12 by 20 tent with side panels and everything that we can put on for the winter time. Now, personally, what I'm going to do in order to set this up a little bit stronger, in order to deal with the main winds and everything, is I'm going to build a bracket right off of here that comes down and goes over and binds it right straight to the wall in order to hold it in place. And over here on these ends, I'm going to dig down through and put pieces of rebar down into concrete underneath. So what I'll do is I'll dig down underneath that and put a piece of rebar down into the hole and fill it in with a couple of 80-pound bags of concrete. That way we can bind it in and it won't go anywhere. But for perspective, here's your standard lawn tractor. I should easily be able to go and fit my truck underneath here or anything else I want to work on. Probably at least 6 or so lawn tractors without any issue. And I'm going to put some lights, probably one right here in that area. And I was thinking eventually maybe putting buddied up on maybe this pole here, welding a piece that comes up and then squares off and then comes down in order to be able to have a lifting point for either pulling engines or lifting up a tractor front end or something like that. Just a, 1,000-pound or so gantry. But there we go. So this is day 2 on getting this project done. I've done a couple of these I've done some